And welcome back to the Barry Foster Show, originating from the beautiful Ridge Florist Studios in the City of Charm, downtown Avon Park. I'd like to remind you, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for our program, just drop us a line at thebarryfostershow@gmail.com. And please check out our YouTube page at The Barry Foster Show Daily. We're going to try to put up new programming each and every weekday. And subscribing to our YouTube page and joining our pages at The Barry Foster Show on Facebook and Instagram would be very helpful. The more subscribers we have for the longer period of time, the more things we can do and the more kinds of programming we can bring to you. So please like and share our articles and let folks know that we're out there. Please keep John Larson in your prayers. John usually is with me on these programs. He's a bit under the weather. John will be rejoining us hopefully very, very soon. But if you could keep him in our prayers, I would consider that to be a personal favor. What I thought we might do today is kind of look back on what the Florida legislators have been doing up there in Tallahassee. They are racing towards sine die, and so this is the time, if you hear things that you want to encourage them or discourage them for doing, now is the time to do it. And we're going to talk about local politics here in Highlands County and federal politics as well on a regular basis. But I thought today we just kind of center in on the Sunshine State and some of the things that they have done last week. Last week they passed a $5 billion tax relief package. That was a mostly partisan vote. I think the vote was 78 to 29. It faces opposition from Governor Ron DeSantis. He wants to eliminate property taxes and give a $1,000 homeowner rebate. Meanwhile, Senate President Ben Albritton wants what he calls a more modest tax relief package. This bill would lower Florida state sales taxes by about 75.75%. It would go down to 5.25. All other sales tax rates would be reduced by the same amount, including commercial rent, electricity, new mobile home purchases, and coin-operated amusement machines. If you want to know, the bill is House Bill 7033. That's HB 7033. It redirects funds away from tourism-related efforts and into each county's general revenue coffers, which means whatever Florida county you're in would get a nice infusion of state money, which means they could then lower your local taxes as well. The primary reason that lawmakers are unlikely to pass a state budget during the regular 60-day legislative session is this disagreement over tax relief. Okay? It's supposed to be over May 2nd. We'll see how that goes. I'm not at all sure that's how it's going to play out. But I think that it's something we need to talk to our legislators about. House Bill 7033, if you want to go on the internet and look that up. Also, the Florida House passed a bill last week that prevents health care discrimination based on vaccination status. It maintains that the state's prohibition against discrimination related to the mRNA vaccines. This is House Bill 1299. That's HB 1299. It prohibits health care providers and facilities from discriminating against a patient based solely on vaccination status. It also affirms a patient's right to impartial access to treatment or accommodations regardless of the vaccination status. We remember during the pandemic that there was a lot of talk about if you didn't get the vaccine, you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. This bill would disallow that in toto. It repeals a scheduled expiration of the definition of mRNA vaccines. It maintains a prohibition against discrimination based on vaccination status. It prohibits healthcare providers and facilities from discriminating against patients based solely on vaccination status. It does require medical marijuana treatment centers and testing laboratories to report actual or attempted theft, loss, or diversion of medical marijuana to the Department of Health, in addition to law enforcement. It defines owners, managers, and employees for background screening purposes as well. Representative Taylor Michael Yurkowski is carrying the House bill. A similar bill in the Senate, SB 1270, is being carried by Senator Jay Collins in the Senate. So that's going on as well. That was done last week. I want you to keep note of these House bill and Senate bill numbers so you can kind of look it up yourselves and decide what you want to do. Good news, Florida's monthly unemployment rate was 3.6%. That is roughly 403,000 jobless Floridians out of a labor force of 11 million. The rate has increased slightly this quarter, rising to 3.5% in January, then taking to 3.6% in February. Now, if you're listening in Highlands County and you're looking for a job or maybe looking to change jobs, I might recommend you go to Career Source Highlands, Career Source Heartland. That's because it's 4 counties. It's Highlands, Hardee, DeSoto, Polk, and Okeechobee counties. But Career Source Heartland will get you to someone who can help you find a job in the area that you're looking for, if there is one available locally in this area. And if you're listening in another county, you might check your local career source. For instance, our neighboring county, Polk County, has its own career source, Polk, if you're looking for a job up there. So if you look for a career source in your area, you can find it. You can find someone who is ready, willing, and able to help you out on that. You know, it's a great service, and we may have Donna Doubleday on here one day to talk about that, because this is it's a very, very important service for people who want to work and people who want to work at a job that they enjoy. This is Barry Foster from the Ridge Flora Studios here in beautiful downtown Avon Park, and John Larson not with us today, but I thought maybe we'd kind of go through some of the legislative activities of the past week as we get toward the end of the session. And as we discussed earlier, it may not end on the 2nd of May as it's supposed to, because of a disagreement over how tax relief is going to be given to Floridians. The House did pass legislation last week mandating more prominent displays of the state motto of "In God We Trust." It was pretty convincing, 102-7. And you can find in Highlands County, both the city of Sebring and Highlands County has "In God We Trust" displayed behind the dais of their board meetings. I would like to see more of that around because it's a national motto. It's also the state motto, "In God We Trust." This law would require the motto to be posted clearly visible in high traffic areas in schools and district buildings. Representative Ken Daniels, District 14, is arguing the House would ensure that more Floridians know that prayer is legal in schools and would help protect against faith-based discrimination. She said that many are unaware of existing displays. That's Kim Daniels out of District 14. And if you have not heard it, I would suggest you go back one episode to the interview I did on the road with Dr. James Markham, talking about worship as a component of battling chronic diseases and having "In God We Trust" as a state motto. I think there's many children and maybe some new residents who don't know that. So having that on complete display, I think, is a really good move for the state. It does face a rather uncertain path because the Senate companion bill did not secure a committee hearing, and if you don't have both the Senate and the House bills completed, you're not going to get it passed. It was Senator Clay Yarborough went to the Appropriations Committee trying to get this initiative launched for the governor. It's part of his Faith and Community Initiative to support faith and community organizations. And I think that one of the people who's involved in the local Faith and Community Initiative is our good friend Lauren Bush, who just got elected as the chairman of the Highlands County Republican Executive Committee. We may have her in to talk about some of those things. I want to remind you again, if there are things that you would like us to discuss here on the Barry Foster program, you can send us an email at thebarryfostershow@gmail.com and give us some suggestions. We'll be more than happy to try to address and get information or guests to discuss the kinds of things that you want to hear about. So let's see, what else have we had here that occurred last week? There's a number of local business groups who are concerned about a state bill that could make it more difficult to market Florida attractions to tourists. There was a time that they were going to get rid of the Florida Division of Tourism and turn it back over to the counties. I think that that may be something that we want to look at here, because there are many things that they could do themselves. We have a tourist tax, and in my estimation, it's not been well documented as to where it has come from, where it has gone, and there's not a lot of documentation as to the aggregate effects of the money that we've spent here, taken from local tourists coming. But at any rate, Representative Monique Miller, she's a Republican out of Palm Bay, has been pushing this bill to defund tourism marketing programs currently supported by hotel tax revenue as heads in beds. Instead, the money collected would be spent on official county projects and contracts or property tax refunds. Under the measure, counties that want to fund tourism marketing will have to find money elsewhere. Pinellas and Hillsborough County collected more than $150 million from hotels each of the years to fund everything from ads to attraction improvements to beach renourishment projects. At one time, Eric Zoyer, our tax collector, was collecting the tax here, and more money came in because there was more cooperation in filing the tourist taxes. There's some indication he may go back to that. We talked to him at a recent Tea Party meeting. We'll see how that goes, but with the lack of transparency that I've seen in the local tourist tax, I think that it might spur more transparency if they risk losing some of these funds. So it's just something that we need to take a look into, and our thanks go out to the folks that are kind of spearheading this to see what, if any, effect it has. We've already gotten stories that Florida's tourism last year was down significantly, even though spending was up. So if there is a correlation between the amount of money spent and the number of tourists that come, we'd like to see it. And of course, on the national level, especially with these tariffs, there has been a dip in international tourism. So even though we're spending a lot of money on the state and local levels, it may or may not have a lot of effect on how many people come to the Sunshine State to enjoy everything that we have going on here. So it's just something that I think that we need to take a look into. Well, in addition to the House, the Senate was busy also last week. We have a few of the more hot topic bills that came up before the senior body up there in Tallahassee. One was about swatting. What it does is it's Senate Bill 726. It creates a third-degree felony of a person that makes a false report of an emergency using the 911 system, resulting in an emergency response that causes great bodily harm, permanent disfigurement, permanent injury. And what swatting is someone will call with a spoofed telephone number and say it's at your house, claim that there's a burglar trying to break in, that there's a domestic dispute, that there's a fire, and there's a giant response to your home where there's no problem, and suddenly you're confronted with police, fire, and ambulance showing up at your house for no apparent reason. He said, we didn't call anybody. Well, if they find the people who were doing the swatting, it creates a second-degree felony if a person makes a false report. This is the sponsors are Senator Blaise Ingoglia and Bill Partnejohn, who is sponsoring the House version of that same bill. So the bill now will return to the House for final approval for an amendment, and we will see how that plays out as well. There's also Senate Bill 1288 called the Parents' Bill of Rights. It's an expansion of the Parents' Bill of Rights. It really would require parental consent requirements for health care services. It delineates specific instances where parental consent is not required. The bill now prohibits a health care provider from providing, soliciting, or arranging to provide services for prescribing medicinal drugs to a minor child without first obtaining written parental consent. It's in effect unless the service is for like an emergency medical service. There's also Senate Bill 1228, makes a number of changes to higher education. The bill revises a presidential search and selection process for both state universities and Florida college system institutions by requiring a formal search committee and removing the authority of the State Board of Education and the Board of Governors to approve or confirm presidential appointments. The bill prohibits state universities from conducting candidate polling as well. And that's some of the stuff that's been happening in Tallahassee. So while we have a couple of minutes here, let's update you on a couple of other things that just recently happened. A lawsuit against Florida's ban on lab-grown meat continues after a federal judge rejected 4 parts of a 5-part suit. Lawmakers here in Florida, as well as Alabama and Mississippi, have banned the sale of lab-grown meat. Northern District of Florida Chief Judge Mark Walker declined to dismiss the part of the lawsuit that argued Florida's restrictions give an unconstitutional advantage to Florida farmers over out-of-state competitors. The judge agreed that the arguments made by state attorneys seeking to dismiss that suit said that federal approval of lab-grown chicken meat does not mean individual states cannot ban it. The U.S. approved the sale of lab-grown meat for the first time back in 2023. Also, you may have or may not have seen that missile that was launched Friday morning during the Department of Defense test from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Generally, when SpaceX or somebody else launches from the Cape, Sandra and I have the ability to walk out to the end of our driveway and see it goes off. This time, we had no warning, but we did see the social media post asking that had anybody seen the missile that was launched. And no public announcement was made beforehand on this. We do have confirmation from a Department of Defense spokesperson that a test had occurred, saying that, quote, a combined team of government, academic, and industry partners conducted a test, and currently they are evaluating the results of that test. So that's some of the things going on in the Sunshine State, irregardless of what's happening up in Tallahassee. So we're hoping John Larson will be back with us soon. We have some upcoming guests that you're really going to enjoy listening to as we take this program on the road, do some phone interviews, and also bring them into the beautiful Ridge Florist studios here. And speaking of Ridge Florist, I want to remind you, I know Easter is over, but you know what's coming up, guys? Mother's Day. And you want to make sure your mom gets her flowers early. Don't be like everybody else. Don't say, I want it delivered at noon, like right after church, on May the 11th, on Mother's Day. No, you want it done early so she can brag to all her friends, oh, no, I got mine already. And for the best flowers, you go to Ridge Florist. It just, no two ways about it. Ridge Florist Inc. You can go ahead and go up to their web pages and their Facebook pages. Take a look at and order them right over the phone. In fact, if you stop, there's a QR code right on the door that'll get you a 10% discount. And we want to thank Ridge Florist for letting us set up our studios here in beautiful Avon Park. And you've been listening to the latest edition of the Barry Foster Show, recorded April 28th at the Ridge Florist Studios, located on Main Street here in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. Now, again, If you have thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for our program, just drop us a line at thebarryfostershow@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube page, The Barry Foster Show Daily, as we'll be putting up new programming on a regular basis. And please subscribe to our YouTube page and join our pages at The Barry Foster Show on Facebook and on Instagram. This is Barry Foster, and we will see you next time.